Greetings, future citizens of the Galactic Co-Prosperity Sphere, or as it's called in short by many, the GCPS. On behalf of the Utilitron Mining Corporation, who have humbly decided to take this world under its wing, I have the honor of explaining to you the benefits you will receive and the duties that are expected of you as members of this galaxy-spanning civilization. Now, if you look at the informational packet that has been sent to your tablets, you will see. Sorry for the interruption, folks, but trust me when I say you didn't miss much. Just a torrent of double-speak and propaganda coated in vile balls of twisted lies. As entertaining as that may be, I'm here instead to deliver some truth. Your world has recently been contacted by the GCPS, the ruling government of the human race, and already they are whining and dining your leaders while bombarding with media showcasing all the great things they can bring to your society, hiding the fact that once they have their claws into you, they will take everything you have to feed their corporate machine. You see, the GCPS is a conglomerate of corporations that are tied together by the most powerful of human sins, greed. These corps are ruled by the heads of the most powerful of these corporations, individuals known collectively as the Seven. Under their leadership, the GCPS constantly pushes outwards in circles of expansion looking for new worlds to exploit, a spreading cancer that devours everything it touches in pursuit of profit. The worlds of the first and second circles of expansion, where the corporations first spread themselves out from Sol to conquer the galaxy, are admittedly beautiful places to be. The citizens there are saturated with luxury. Luxury that isn't an extravagance but an expectation. What they are owed for being part of what they see as the greatest society in the galaxy. On these worlds, you can buy anything. Food seasoned with spices grown half a galaxy away, genetic enhancements to slow aging, political influence, and even slaves. It is as close to the concept of heaven as portrayed by any of the corporate-sanctioned religions. With all of these pleasures, it's easy for the people living there to ignore the suffering the GCPS causes beyond the first two circles, willfully ignoring the fact that such plenty needs to come from somewhere. In the third circles of expansion and beyond, entire worlds are filled with enormous pollution-spewing factory districts, operated by salaried workers who barely make enough to survive. The ecologies and atmospheres of those worlds are disregarded or even actively stripped, turned into products to satisfy the needs of the GCPS people. Those people that can afford it anyway. And if one of those worlds is found to have an intelligent alien race, the corporations couldn't be happier, because it's not only a new world to exploit, but also new customers to help boost the economy. As they take over, they'll bombard you with mind-numbing media focus-tested to keep you happy and compliant, whether that be reality TV, game shows, or competitive sports like Dreadball. The last one I will fully admit I am a big fan of. By the way, if you ever get into Dreadball, the Voice Sirens are a solid team to root for. They are technically a corporate-sponsored team, so I should hate them, but there are a few players that I can think of that can throw a punch with such skill. As for news, you'll only have access to the Corporation Syndicated News Network, or CSNN, an always-on broadcast system presenting officially sanctioned data bursts. On it you'll find humans with smiles too perfect to exist spouting the latest propaganda about how everything is great under the GCPS. But you'll see none of that greatness, because if you aren't human, they'll treat you like second-class citizens as they strip your world bare. Take the Teratons for example. They welcomed the GCPS with open arms, signing trade agreements and treaties of mutual defense without any hesitation, which the GCPS exploited to secretly build military bases on their worlds before eventually occupying them. Now many of their young are forced to leave their homes to serve the corporations, and the economic output of their world is fed into the GCPS coffers. Now, despite the false promises and propaganda, some races see the truth of what the GCPS is and fight this forceful integration. And when that happens, the corporations send in their armies. Armies filled with tough humans born in the third circle of expansion and beyond, and a few compliant alien races. The humans who enlist jump at the chance to serve. seeing it as the only way to escape the horrors of the hellish industrial worlds they were born in, not caring that they're going to inflict those same horrors on other people. As for the compliant aliens, the military is the closest thing many of them will ever get to respect, at least from the common human soldiers who appreciate the aliens fighting by their sides. The corporate executives, however, will still treat them like disposable tools. And if the alien race they are fighting is tougher than expected, the GCPS might send in the Enforcers, elite soldiers with the best tech, training, and genetic enhancements corporate research money can buy. These absolutely loyal men and women answer only to the Seven, and destroy anything they are ordered to with overwhelming firepower and not a bit of hesitation. That all said, the GCPS is not unstoppable. There are forces out there in this galaxy that can challenge them, but that doesn't mean you can count them as friends. The Forge Fathers of the Star Realms are a short and stubborn race of highly advanced aliens that are extremely tough to put down. So much so that they were one of the first races to halt the expansion of the GCPS, and forced them to sign an actually equitable peace treaty. One that probably won't last long. Not just because the corporations are always looking for ways to cheat it, but because the Forge Fathers are just as greedy as they are, slowly expanding their territory, and ripping apart asteroids, comets, and planets for the resources within. The Crystallons actually lost their homeworld to them. If you meet the few left around, they'll tell you about how the Forge Fathers ripped into their world, not caring if they committed genocide in the process. On the other side of the galaxy is the Asterian Empire, a people that claim to be one of the oldest races around, using their so-called superior wisdom to slowly guide the galaxy, to ensure it maintains some form of balance. A balance that is extremely vague, and I can't help but notice always seems to favor them. Although they aren't directly at war with the GCPS, their forces can often be found in conflict with their armies, or attacking innocent folks on their worlds that can't possibly fight back, all for the sake of this balance. Now those are the most well-known threats, but there are others that can be just as bad, some of them threats of the GCPS's own making. Wherever you find humans in enough numbers, you'll find the veer-myn, creatures evolved from the rats of old Earth. How they came to be is unknown. Were they mutated by toxic waste from a factory? Or perhaps the result of a GCPS bioweapons experiment that got out of hand and was swept under the rug? Whatever their origins, they are now an ever-growing threat in the heart of every world. Their disgusting brood mothers constantly birth offspring in abandoned buildings, derelict freighters, busy space stations, and even the sub-basements of megacities. The horse staying hidden until their numbers are sufficient enough to take the defenses of a world, and when they are ready, they burst up from beneath the feet of the world's unfortunate inhabitants, and unleash weapons of manic and terrifying design. Decades ago, the GCPS found a primitive, war-loving race on an alien world and thought, let's give these folks a job. Arming them with the latest weapons, which they took a shining to, and offering them credits which they loved getting, they eagerly began following the corporation's orders. And it was an arrangement that worked well for years, the Marauders as they came to be called quickly becoming their go-to military force. And then one day, the corporate executive that was in charge of them at the time did the stupidest thing imaginable. He stopped paying them. The Marauder rebellion that followed nearly brought the GCPS to its knees, and only the intervention of the newly established enforcers prevented its fall. Nowadays, the Marauders lend their brawn and violent tendencies to corporate armies, freebooter companies, and whoever else is willing to pay them. And if they're not immediately being employed, many of them prey on intersystem trade lanes as pirates. To the galactic northwest is an arc of silent dead worlds abandoned for an unknown but probably good reason. The GCPS, not letting a little thing like common sense get in the way of profit, chose to explore those worlds anyway, and unleash the plague upon the galaxy. A virus-born mutagen that delivers a painful, tormented existence to whoever it infects, and burdens them with the uncontrollable urge to kill, and spread the plague to new virgin worlds. Although the GCPS are doing their best to hide the truth of the plague from the masses, and wipe out any outbreaks they can find. The infection continues to spread, and they know that if it isn't stopped, it will consume the entire human race. And then there's the aliens of the Nameless Federation. I'm gonna be honest with you all. They are kinda new on the scene and I don't know much about them, but they creep me the hell out. I think it has to do with all of those, tentacles. Now I bet you're wondering, who is this man who hijacked this signal to speak to you? Well, my name isn't important, but my message is. Because I am from the Rebellion, and we are the growing voice of all of those who are dissatisfied to say the least with the way the GCPS does things. We have seen firsthand the terrible wealth disparity, the horrible treatment of alien races, and other horrors done in the name of profit, and have chosen to fight to stop these injustices. A fight that could always use more soldiers like you in our ranks. Now, I'm not asking your world to rebel. Your world is too small, and the GCPS is too big, at least for now. But if what I have said has swayed some of you, know that we are always around to welcome you, hidden away from the oppressive eyes of the GCPS. We are growing, and already we are fighting to make sure the GCPS doesn't always get its way. And one day, we will be strong enough to step out of the shadows and into the light, and finally bring down our corporate overlords. I've said my piece. Now we go back to your corporate-sponsored propaganda. And that's why, despite what certain naysayers may say, continent mining can not only be very beneficial to your society, but also provide a wealth of products that will make your life and those of your family so much easier. Now on this slide, you will see a few restrictions we will have to impose to ensure a peaceful transition of power. But I can assure you, these restrictions will only be temporary, because remember, at Utiliton, we care a ton.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this background lore on the miniatures wargame Warpath and Deadzone by manticgames. If you liked it and you want to see more of it, let me know in the comments, and I'll eventually do faction videos on the various, factions of the game, and maybe some more other lore stuff associated with it. If you also, please like, subscribe, comment, press the little bell so you know whenever I post, so that YouTube gods know I exist, and hopefully more people might see this type of content if they're interested. And if you have the cash, and only if you're inclined, please send a little money my way to my Patreon or my Coffee account. The extra money gives a chance to work on these stories I love. Anyway, thanks for listening/watching, and see you next time.